Hello, and welcome to the NoobieDentist Podcast, the safe place for newbie dentists to connect, collaborate, learn, and grow. The NoobieDentist Podcast aims to provide high-quality and high-value content for all the newbie dentists out there. With your host, Dr. Omid Azami.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the NoobieDentist Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Omid Azami. I am super excited to be here with some amazing dentists today, Dr. Bedrossian DDS, who's a third-year prosthodontics resident at the University of Washington, co-founder and creator of the D365 app, and an Instagram stud. I'm also here with Dr. Ryan Mizumoto, DMD, and he's also a prosthodontics resident at The Ohio State University, co-founder and creator of the Pros365 and the D365 app. So guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. This is a new episode I'm doing for my podcast with the Dental FOMO, and we'll get into that a little bit as we go. Being up here in Canada, I feel a little bit isolated from all the action down there, and you guys are pioneers leading the way coming on the Canadian podcast. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you guys have a super busy schedule. So sort of how I want to jump into everything with you guys, thinking maybe for 2 or 3 minutes, take me back to when you're a third-year dental student at your respective schools. And just talk me through your mindset. And did you know at the time if you wanted to do pros or wanted to specialize or be a GP? And then just sort of walk me through from third year of dental school to now where you are in 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll sort of jump off from there.
So basically I went to University of Pacific in San Francisco. It's a 3-year program. So when you're really trying to think about going to a specialty program, it's between your second and third year.
Okay.
And basically, I came from a family. My dad's an oral surgeon. And so I knew I wanted to specialize. I just didn't know in what yet. And in reality, I really was thinking about endo, oral surgery, pros. And what really brought me to pros was my dad. Ironically, he was thinking, why you want to do oral surgery? And I said, well, obviously, because of you, extractions, implants. But he says, if you don't care about maxillofacial surgery or reconstruction, don't waste 6 years of your life going to oral surgery. There's other programs out there, and pros really, especially today, drives implant placement. It's not implant placement driving the pros. So learn the pros, learn treatment planning. And then once you understand that, obviously, I'm a little special in that he can teach me the surgical perspective. But once you learn the pros procedure and where treatment planning goes, then surgery comes with it. And so for me, at that point, when he planted that seed in my head, I just found some mentors at school. Dr. Sadowski, a well-known researcher and academic instructor, was a pros, and he kind of just took me under his wing, and I started applying the pros programs, and then I found my way into UW, and that's where I am today.
Awesome. And how about you, Ryan?
Yeah, so my path was kind of similar to Armand's, but also a lot different in a sense that I went through dental school wanting to specialize. But where I went to Case Western, and we didn't have a pros program there. And so I kind of went through dental school trying to find myself, never really found the specialty that really called to me. And so I ended up doing a GPR almost by default after dental school. I did that in Chicago at Illinois Masonic, and then still kind of felt a little bit lost in dentistry. And then I did basically what everyone else does, goes into private practice. And I worked in a family practice for about 2.5 years in Cleveland, Ohio. And then actually ended up opening up my own practice.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
For about 3 years. And that was a great experience because, I got to kind of spread my wings and fly and start to really learn a lot about myself and the way I wanted to practice. And what I found myself doing was actually just piecemealing and taking a lot of prosthodontic type of courses. And I found that was just my passion. And so it took some staring in the mirror, a lot of thought in terms of how I wanted to spend my career. But I decided ultimately that the best thing for me was to actually sell my practice and go back to school for formal pros training. So I ended up selling my practice. I spent about 5.5 years in private practice and sold it and came back to school and haven't regretted it since.
That's pretty cool. So Armand, you went straight from dental school into pros, or did you work as well?
No. I went straight from dental school into pros. And it's funny, the way Ryan and I met, we came from two total different backgrounds.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. It's interesting.
Just hit it off in the interview, so that's kind of how we met.
Okay, so you guys got into pros at the same time, but so you're on the circuit, sort of interviewing for programs and stuff. And
I mean, this year it's a match system now, but but before it was when the program wanted to interview people. So UW was kind of one of the earlier interviews in the interview session or year. And so Ryan and I met from the get-go. We both stayed at the same hotel, and we both took the same shuttle in the morning to the interview. And so we kind of at the beginning, and then there's a lot of downtime when other people are getting interviewed. So we just hung out with each other, talked about it, about stuff, and then actually grabbed the beer that night, didn't we? And kind of got to know each other more on a personal level as far as like our family backgrounds. He's from Seattle,
that's awesome. Yeah,
stuff like that. And then although we chose different schools, we got close.
That's pretty cool. And it's awesome that you're like, I didn't know, I mean, this just happened as a coincidence now, I guess. Like you had such different paths into your getting into specialty programs. So what do you think now that you're, a few years into it, and you both have obviously such unique perspectives, because you, Armand, went straight from dental school, and Ryan, you worked for a few years and had that GP experience. Like, which one would you think is better long-term in terms of understanding yourself and understanding what you're getting yourself into? And I mean, for all the listeners, I mean, my target audience is like new grads and final year dental students. So having the experience you have now and the hindsight that you have, like, which one would you recommend or is not one way that's right or wrong?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Man, that's the $1 million question, because I think it always comes down to the grass is always greener on the other side. I wish I would have known that I would have wanted to do pros from the get-go. But at the same time, my experience in private practice really helped me come back and be a better communicator with my patients. And it helped me kind of focus my energy a little bit more in terms of the learning, because I knew kind of what they kind of asked, what types of things they wanted to know, and then also what kind of questions I had. After 5 years of kind of fumbling around as a GP, I had so many questions, and I think that's really what has been the highlight for me in terms of coming back to school for pros, is just being able to answer those questions, and really understand things a little bit deeper.
That's pretty cool, because it's interesting. I think your dental school experience probably has a lot to do with it. And even more so, like, it's interesting that, Ryan, you said like you didn't really have a pros program at your school. Like, so I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia, and like our sort of education on pros was, very like, single unit crown type. And in my mind, like going through dental school, I was like, man, like pros is dead. Like, why would I do pros? Like any GP can do pros. And now like I'm coming out and I'm like seeing, the work you guys are doing, like the Implant Ninja, and like Dr. Sanada is doing, like, and they're on the Millennial Podcast, Dentist Podcast, talking about that. Like my mind's like completely blown. Like I had no idea what pros could entail, and like how many doors it can open into like massive treatment plans and stuff. So I think pros doesn't get the respect that it like maybe deserves amongst like the specialties, like for a lot of dental students. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, how you felt or how you feel is exactly how I kind of felt going through dental school. And, I felt, looking back on it, I actually feel almost kind of cheated. I didn't really have a pros mentor or someone who really showed me how amazing prosthodontics is. But pros is so powerful. I mean, it's such an amazing specialty, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that later too. But it's just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something, I mean, I do wish we had more exposure to it and learned more, because even now that I'm like, I interviewed another dentist. She graduated from Nova in Florida, Dr. Sarah Sweetenham. So she said like that a pretty good pros program, did about like 40 units during dental school, whereas I did like 5. So coming out, like, sure. I feel like right now I'm working and I feel like I know nothing about like, beyond doing like a single unit crown. I don't even know what I don't know, basically. So like sure. Seeing the stuff that you guys are doing is pretty awesome. So let's talk about that I know we want to get onto the app as well and talk about that, but if you'll just for a few minutes, give us like what relationship should a GP have with their prosthodontist, like in their local area right now? What stuff should I be doing myself? What stuff should I for sure not touch and refer? And where does that like interplay come? What would you recommend?
Armand, you
I mean, I haven't worked in a private practice, so as far as interplay or how referrals go or study clubs or what you guys have in Canada, I think Ryan can help you a little bit more. But I guess when it comes down to to answer your question of when you should know when to refer out or anything, it's so weird that today dentistry, everyone's doing everything. Perio residents are even doing the immediate provisionals. I mean, it's nice. Everyone's learning everyone's job, which is great. So I guess it comes down to the practitioner and what you know. I mean, I have really good friends that you probably found on Instagram too. Brian Balawas, as a dental nerd, that guy was my classmate in dental school, and he does everything that he's comfortable with. He was top of the class. He was a smart kid. Yeah. And so, but there's other people in our class that probably stop before him. So basically know their limitations and refer stuff out. It really is up to the practitioner. I think it's up to the pros to go into their community and do a study club and show people what it can be done, and then hopefully educate. And for the ones who want to do it or learn how to do it or can do it, do it. It's no problem for me. And then basically the ones who can't, at least they know what's available out there in their community and refer it out. But as far as, Ryan, you can put your input as far as a private practitioner perspective.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting being on kind of both sides of the equation. And I don't really think that there's a necessarily a right or wrong answer, because, dentistry is so unique in the sense that you can kind of do whatever you're comfortable with. But in terms of pros and getting yourself into trouble and things like that, really, I mean, what I think it comes down to is whether you can visualize what the case is going to look like at the end or not. Yeah. And if you're just starting out, it's a big case and you really can't see where the case is going to be at the very end, then I think that really deserves a second thought, or possibly even considering referring it at that point. Because most of the process planning, if you don't plan it properly from the get-go, you're just not going to get to the final result that you want to. So at that point, it's better to think about the referral.
Okay, that's great. And so just back to you, Ryan, I know you were a GP for a while. And so what CE would you recommend, for me or for other new grads, like trying to, get a little bit deeper into like occlusion and pros? I know there's a whole surgical side of pros, which you guys are doing a lot of as well, but just like the more traditional, just restorative for now. What would you recommend?
So I personally took the continuum at the Pankey Institute in Florida, and also took some courses at the Spear Institute in Arizona. And both were great, and I've heard wonderful things about Coyce as well in Seattle. And Dawson as well. And those are probably the big four. Yeah. And the thing about it is they all kind of have a similar message, but they all have their own philosophy on how they want to approach it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to just take some introductory courses at all of them and see which one kind of speaks to you, what's good for one person might not be good for another person. And a lot of it depends on your practice and what your own personal beliefs are and things like that. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just to touch on the Instagram side of things a little bit, I know, Armand, you're pretty active on there and you sort of post like a case a day, which is a pretty cool idea that you had. So I haven't talked to a specialist yet, and I want to see what the motive behind your page is. I know for you mentioned the Brian and the SF Dental Nerd. I know his is more geared towards, marketing and getting patients to come to his practice. Whereas I'm interested to see what a specialist is using social media for these days. Is it to show off cases for their local GPs to refer to them, or what's the overarching goal of the page for both of you guys?
The story, and it's on our website too. There's a little biography about us, but the story of this was when Ryan ultimately decided to go to Ohio State and I went to UW. We're on the opposite side of the country, and basically we just kept in touch here and there with text during our first half of the first year. Obviously, a lot of academics going on, so we don't really get to talk a lot. But when we met at the Chicago Midwinter Meeting, AAFP, halfway through our first year, we met up and we said, okay, how's it going in your school? And we realized that, I mean, I was the minority. I was one of 2 Americans. Everyone else was from, Europe or Asia. Similar in your program too, right, Ryan? Yeah,
definitely.
And at UOP, I was the only one out of 142 students to apply to PROS. So back to your initial discussion about how in school you thought, you thought PROS was dead or whatever.
Yeah.
So here Ryan and I are sitting in first year, halfway through, and I would lie to you if I say I didn't think, what the hell am I doing in PROS? Because the first year is tough, right? But you go in there and you say, we're doing so much cool stuff in our respective programs. What can we do to make PROS cool again? Now, I'm not saying make it cool so everyone can go and apply. I'm just trying to basically change the perspective, especially in America, because a lot of Americans don't apply. PROS is not only wax up denture setups. I mean, we do a lot of other stuff that isn't really shown or taught to you in dental school. Yeah. And so Ryan and I came up with this idea of, hey, let's start a professional account on Instagram. Let's use that platform and let us post one day for 1 year, 365 days. Each day post something that we learned. So obviously, if you look back at our first post or first day, everything is wax ups, because first year in PROS program is all wax ups. You're doing dentistry, you're working up your case, you're learning treatment planning, and that's what first year is about. And then I think Ryan and I would also lie to you if we said it wasn't tough. I mean, posting every day, it's a lot of work. Everybody has something to post every day. There's something you always do at work or in your respective programs, whereas endo, perio, PROS. It's just that sometimes it's overlooked. You think, I didn't do anything today. But in fact, I turned it around and basically said, it made me work every day. And it made me do something productive so I could show on my page what I did that day. Well, after the first year completed, Ryan and I discussing, we said, hey, man, I mean, in 1 year, I think we were at 4,000 or 6,000 followers. And we're like, what the hell's going on? There's Instagram is crazy how big of a dentistry community there is on Instagram. Yeah. And so Ryan and I decided, okay, Ryan has a family. So him, as far as doing it every day, kind of slowed down, but he's still active. And I don't have a family. So I said, hey, I could do it every day still. So I have more free time. Let's do it. So it's fun. It's fun to see your own private diary, your personal journey, because everything from first year wax ups became surgery or immediate provisionals. So second year post, you see all provisionals. And then now it's my third year. And so now you see all of the final cases. So it's nice as a personal perspective, whether or not the followers came, whether or not the account became popular. It was more of a look at my personal daily diary of wax up treatment planning to provisional stage or surgery conversions to the definitive product, and see how I've personally grown, or how my photos have improved, or how my treatments have evolved. And that's really what fuels me to go every day. The likes and the followers and everything is fluff on the side. It's really just for me to see my personal growth, because obviously I want to see me improve. So that's what happened. And then Ryan, same thing. Ryan's still doing it, and I'm sure you can share your perspective. But it's been nothing but great. The whole. That's Instagram. Amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm a nobody on Instagram, but even myself, just like posting a few cases, and it makes me like want to do better work, like you mentioned. And I didn't use like rubber dams for like restorations and stuff. But now that I know I'm going to be posting it, I'm like, no, I got to like take the extra few minutes, make sure everything's like nice. So I think it's done wonders, Instagram for our profession. And the work you guys are doing, honestly, like you said, you wanted to make PROS like, relevant and cool and sort of hip. I think you guys have like achieved that for sure. So I personally, from the general dentist side of things, really want to thank you guys for that. Because every day I go on there and I'm like pumped. Like I see it, I'm like, man, that's like some cool stuff. Like I want to learn implants. I want to learn to like do stuff like that. And it's just like I mentioned, it's just completely changed my whole perspective on PROS from what I learned in dental school to coming out now and realizing what the crazy stuff people are doing out there. All right, so let's talk about the app then. I know you guys launched this project. I think it's probably about like 6-7 weeks ago now, if I'm not mistaken, or 3.5 weeks. Okay. So tell me about it. Like I know, like it's probably like a bit of an extension. So I know the Instagram is more like just PROS, and the app is D365, and you have sort of I've used it a little. I've posted like one case, but you can roll through and it's pretty cool. So there's like the dental student, there's like general dentist, surgery, perio, endo, PROS.
So tell me about it. Like, how did you come up with the idea? Like, what's the vision for it, and where do you like hope it goes? And what sort of like needs or niche are you trying to fulfill with this app?
So, I mean, the app was really a byproduct of just the project that we had initially started that Armand just talked about. Recognizing that there was obviously a huge community of people who are using, Instagram for whatever reason, but we set out with the app to kind of achieve a different purpose, and really the app was developed to help people share and connect and then learn. And those were really the three pillars that we kind of tried to build the foundation off of, and to help make a platform to achieve that. So we basically decided, why don't we make something that brings all the specialties together, all the different people along their journey, whether you're a student or a private practitioner, and try to make some platform that allows people to not only learn from each other, but to inspire each other too. There's so many different uses for what we're trying to do. So
to extend on that. So with Instagram, it was cool, but I would scroll through my feed and it would be dental, then baby, then workout, then food. It was too convoluted. So Instagram is great, and I think it's great for private practitioners too, because you also are exposed to certain patients for referrals. That's awesome too. But our whole message was basically to provide a platform where dentistry is a big enough niche where we can have a platform strictly involving all the specialties, dental students included, lab technicians included, whatever it is, to basically have everyone together to bridge the gaps between each field. Again, it's not like you have to know what an endodontist does, or you don't have to know how to do it, but at least you have to know what can be done. Or same with perio. Perio doesn't have to do the best provisional, but understand certain criteria of how to make a provisional. So then when it comes down to interdisciplinary treatment planning, having that in a non-convoluted platform where everyone can learn off of each other, that's the whole point of the app. It's at its infancy. It's going to evolve, it's going to grow. This is only version 1. But Ryan and I really have tried to, and it's been a 2-year in the process making from the beginning of what this could be. And we just coded, we work with a great team in San Francisco. We just started coding it in May, and here you are 5-6 months later, and now it's live. So
that's incredible.
Nice. But it's going to evolve. But I think the number one hurdle, or the reason you asked what the purpose of this app is for people to share, to people to feel comfortable posting photos and to be honest with you, I know pros included, we're the biggest judges, right? Everyone judges everyone's work. Dentists, everyone thinks they could do better. That's fine. And I just went to ACP in San Francisco for a meeting. The number one thing that people were telling me is, hey, listen, I love your guys' work, but I'm just too scared to post photos because my photos aren't good, or because my work is kind of iffy or whatever. And to be honest with you, my response to all of them was the same. And it was, number one, this is your colleagues and your peers. You should feel comfortable getting critiqued by your colleagues, right? It's not like you're going to go and someone's going to talk trash and the patient's going to hear and you're going to lose referrals. Nothing like that. This is strictly just for your colleagues, number one. Number two, it could be somewhat anonymous. You can make any username you want. You can have no facial profile there and just post your photos and get critique back. And number three, for me, what I've noticed is I don't have the greatest photos. I don't have the greatest treatments. I'm only a resident. There's people out there that are world-renowned speakers and are killing it out there. But I think what makes me personally grow, and hopefully the message is shared across all the followers, is you want to, when you prep a crown, let's say you're prepping 8 and 9 and they're upside down in your chair because you're from 12 o'clock. Everything looks great, right? When you turn around and you're right in front of them, you see that one cockeyed, right? So it doesn't look nice. When you take a picture and you put it on your laptop and you blow it up in a big screen, that prep's not looking as pretty. You see a J, you see that, right? So it makes you, taking photos, first of all, makes you critique what you're doing, your own work. Then it takes the courage or the humbleness from the practitioner to critique their own work and say it in their description. So I try to make sure that even if I show something bad, at least what did I learn from it, right? And then number three is that when you critique yourself so in depth in your little description, you leave nothing for your audience to really critique you on because you've named it all. So basically, you should feel comfortable posting your stuff and sharing it out there, because in reality, you're only critiquing yourself and you're just hoping that you help someone else in your field learn from your mistake. That's kind of my perspective on it.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I think the biggest hurdle of this app or this community to grow is for people to feel comfortable sharing. And if people understand that no one's going to judge you, it's strictly just helping you improve by yourself and also by your colleagues, then this community can grow into something huge. But that's my perspective. And Ryan, you can put your feet on that if you want.
Yeah, man. I mean, I completely agree, and I think that's an important thing to highlight in terms of what our vision is for the app, in terms of the difference with Instagram and things like that. Because, honestly, what people post on Instagram is usually their best thing, and really what we learn from is actually the worst things, the ones where you mess up, the things where they don't look so good. And that's really what I hope to encourage people to want to put on the app, is things that they've maybe tried that didn't work out so well or whatever, because that's really the good learning moment, and, of course we love the beautiful stuff too, but I think in terms of learning, anything can be a learning moment. So. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. I'm getting so pumped just listening to all this, because my whole, I mentioned, I started the Instagram page. My main goal wasn't to be a famous dentist or general. The main reason I started was because I knew I wanted to do the podcast, and I wanted to use it as a platform to meet dentists, to reach out to them. So be please come on the podcast. And one thing I started doing was, I just, take shitty intro roll camera photos of my preps, and I put them on there, and I talk about my mistakes like you mentioned. So it's so cool that you guys are doing that, and that you have the same understanding, because I think sometimes on Facebook, there's a lot of Facebook sort of forums and groups and stuff where people post cases, and some of the stuff, the comments get so toxic, and I'm just how did this escalate to this point? Someone's sharing their work, and they're they're proud of what they're doing, and then people are just ripping on them for what reason? What benefit does that give to the guy?
What's funny, I think we're all in the same age group, but for me, people make fun all the time when I say this, but I call it the 8 Mile rule. Eminem's movie 8 Mile.
Yeah.
At the end, before in his last what is it called? Battle. Basically, he said he dissed himself so much that he left nothing for the other guy to talk about, right? So he was up there, saying nothing.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. If I critique my work and I say, yeah, I did this great, that great, but look, I should have improved this, I leave nothing for my audience to critique. So that's kind of my mentality of how to overcome that. I mean, listen, I give anybody and everybody props for posting on Instagram. To put yourself out there in public, especially today, Facebook, Instagram, anything digital, it's out there and it will follow you forever. If you publish an article and you make a mistake, it will be there forever. So, but if you understand how to critique yourself and grow from it, I mean, no one's going to hate on you. And first of all, there's always going to be trolls out there. I mean, it is what it is.
Especially when it's anonymous, right? People get pretty brave.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So what are your, so let's finish off with what are your plans for, obviously you're transitioning, it's your final year now, so you're going to be finishing up. What are you planning on doing next year? How does it work for an associate? I know in our offices, we have some specialists that come to our office and work out of our office, mostly for endo and oral surgery kind of things. So what's the system? Is there enough to have your own office, or are you going to be rotating through general offices doing some of their more complex stuff, or what's the business model, or what's the plan?
Ideally, Ryan and I want to work together, but he's
you might have to move to Ohio.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at some associateships. I'd like to spend some time teaching. I think that's one thing that I've really come to enjoy. Teaching is just such a cool thing. But I think I also, I want to be chairside. I want to be clinical. I want to be hands-on. I love doing that. So if I can find a mix of both, that's what I'm looking for. Most likely will be somewhere out here in Ohio. This is where my wife's from, but I'm still pushing for San Francisco.
That's pretty cool. And Armand, I was talking to, so I recently over Instagram started connecting with Brian a little bit. And he told me to tell you, because I told him I was talking to you today. He told me he has a job waiting for you if you're interested.
I just saw him last week at ACP. Yeah, no, him and Adam Miller, you should follow him on Instagram too. He's a good guy. They both work together, and yeah, I mean, it would be great to work with friends. And I told him I'm open to it. It'd be nice. I don't know how it is these days, having a associateship or working, jumping from practice to practice. I don't know how it works, and that's something I'm going to learn. And unlike Ryan, in my entire 20s, I've been a student. So
that's it's gonna be a big learning curve for sure.
Yeah, but I fortunately have a mentor, my father, to kind of show me the way and kind of tell me what's going on. Right now, I'm looking into a practice. A family friend of ours that wants to sell her practice and maybe purchase her practice and move in. I don't know if my dad wants to hang them up soon, and maybe I'll move into his office. I really have no idea right now. I'm gonna figure that out. Right now, I got mock boards on my mind, and then hopefully ready to go. But you're right; it's definitely it's different. I don't know what the way. I mean, I don't know. I gotta just figure it out. But in San Francisco, there's an awesome building like any other big city. They have a dental medical building. So 450 Sutter is where I want to be. And I just gotta figure out what the best plan is.
Yeah, man, San Francisco would be like such a cool place to. Like I'm pretty. I mean, Toronto's not a bad city at all by any means, but just like everything with San Francisco right now, like Golden State Warriors are killing it. Like it's just the Silicon Valley thing. Like you guys are just like, man, it's pretty cool to be out there in San Francisco. It'd be a nice place to set up shop for sure.
That's cool.
Awesome, man. So any final things you guys want to talk about the app or promote with the app? What can we expect like the next edition? Is there anything like in the works or any feedback you've got from users that you want to improve on? Or
I guess the one thing I want to say is and it's funny because I guess I get a lot of direct messages about when are you going to have Android, and I didn't know. We did a lot of research about what's out there, and of course after we launch, everyone and their mother has Android, so it's like Android will come.
Okay, great.
But what I have to say is. Patience, it's for me too, and for Ryan, this will evolve. Instagram today is not what it was when it first started.
For sure.
Remembers what Instagram was when it first started. Facebook today isn't what Facebook was when it started. I'm not saying this is the next Facebook and it's Instagram, but as far as an app and its evolution and what it can be, as far as visual design, as far as user interface ability, everything evolves. And so this version 1, we just wanted to throw it out there. And see, I mean, obviously everything's well thought out, but throw it out there and see what the feedback is. And so far, I think today, I just checked Ryan before we got on here. We're at 700 users in 3.5 weeks, and we're in 34 countries, which is awesome.
That's so cool, man. That's incredible.
We have 59% retention as far as users were using it.
Yeah.
Also is great. And as long as Google Firebase is our back end, they have nice analytics statistics. As long as I see a trend up and no plateaus, obviously, we're not paying for any advertisements. I mean, this is strictly using our social platform and Instagram to promote it.
Yeah.
So far, we're getting good feedback. Again, the number one hurdle is getting users to feel comfortable posting, and that's kind of what I think Ryan and I have been trying to hopefully provide a platform where everyone feels comfortable. But Ryan, you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Download it, use it, and. Even if you have a question, put up a picture and ask a question. It doesn't have to be something that you actually even did. It could be something that maybe you want to get Armand or myself or someone's feedback. And I think it's such an untapped resource from that aspect that, don't be shy. Don't be intimidated to try to just put something up there to learn, because if you have that question, I'm sure there's someone else that has that question. And
for sure.
That's how the good learning happens. So,
right. Yeah, so I had a question for you guys I was going to ask, but Naide just said that I'm going to take a picture of it tomorrow. I'm seeing the patient tomorrow, so I'll put it up on the app for you guys, and hopefully I can get some feedback there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, great, man.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I know I've seen PROS residents at my school. They're always just walking around with cameras and lab boxes and study models. So you guys are super busy outside of like normal clinic time. So I really appreciate it. I hope I mean, I don't have a massive listener base, but I will for sure send out word about your app, and hopefully that brings you some users. And I'll for sure be using it as well. I posted one case a few weeks back, but I'll try and be a bit more active and utilize you guys and hopefully get some feedback to improve on my stuff. So thank you so much again, and we'll be in touch, and hopefully maybe in a few months or something, once the app gets going, we'll bring you guys back and touch base and see how everything's progressing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Thank you.